So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be doing a compilation about pregnant activities. Now, everything I'm saying is an allegation, some things are confirmed, but to be on the safe side, we're going to use the word allegedly in reference to these stories. I think there's a common theme happening, hence why I decided to group these topics together. And I think what we're seeing are young women in similar positions, maybe different circumstances, but at the same time, there's some uniformity about where they're at, and I think it's pretty interesting to look at. Of course, this is a compilation video, so I'm going to dissect two different stories, but in the end, I do want to tie it all together as to why I grouped these two young women in one video. I know I've been gone still. There were a lot of topics that I missed that at this point are almost 2 months old. Do y'all still want the Nicki versus Cardi? Do you want me to still talk about Lil Tay? Do y'all want me to talk about Mobad? Let me know down below, because I really did want to touch on all of these things, but this is the busiest that I've been in a while. But thankfully, things are starting to slow down. I'm moving out of my apartment this weekend, so I will try to make it up to y'all. I'll probably go live this upcoming week, so stay tuned for that. Now, moving forward, without further ado, let's get right into this video. So our first story is Sexyy Red being pregnant, allegedly. So everyone's favorite hood princess has announced that she's expecting, and I'm sorry, I will cut straight to the chase. This really did not surprise me whatsoever. I mean, Sexyy is literally the embodiment of a walking stereotype, and I think she's shown us that she really doesn't care. I think for her to get pregnant at this point in her career is a risk, but I think with both of the women on this docket, the risk has shown to be potentially rewarding. There's been several other entertainers who have had children, but have remained relevant and been able to capitalize off of their moments still, even with something as serious as a pregnancy. I really don't have much to say because I've already said what I've had to say about Sexyy. I do think it's very interesting though that she has had two different men post videos of her in compromising situations, that's the best way I can say it, just for her to end up pregnant by God knows who. I mean, she had that one dude that full-blown posted an interesting tape of her, and then she had somebody else who had on this ankle monitor who posted her sleeping in a bed and so forth. And I'm not sure if it's the same guy, but it is just a bad look. But I think the reason why she's able to slide and the reason why I don't think she's actually gonna have that much ridicule is because this is all on brand for her. So let me say this, and it's not gonna sound nice, but it's gonna be very honest. The reason why Sexyy is able to remain relevant and receive praise, even for a lot of the crazy things that she has said and admitted to, is because nobody has high expectations for a hood rat. And I know that sounds wild, but it's true for the most part. Nobody has expectations for negative stereotypes of Black women. Nobody expects them to be successful. Nobody expects them to be relevant. Nobody expects them to make smarter choices. Nobody expects them to be a role model. Nobody expects them to have personal respect. I'm not being rude. I'm just being real. So I don't think people are that shocked. I think people are more concerned because of the timing of the situation. I mean, she already has one child. She raps about freeing her baby daddy, but you have a whole nother child that's on the way with a different man, being that your baby daddy is in jail. Which brings me to something else that I wanted to point out. The girl said that she pulled a him on him. There was a snippet in which she was asked, what did she mean when she said pulling a him on him? And this is what she had to say.
I'm gonna tell you later. You gotta get pregnant by the ops.
What is your description of pulling a him on him?
I stay doing that. I just did my baby daddy like that. They hate when you would do them like that.
What would you do?
Like for instance, he tried to with one of my people, so I turned around and one of his people. He ain't like that type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's who? That's brutal. But was it brutal when he did it to me though?
It's not the same though.
Was it brutal when he did it?
It's not the same though.
Ah, okay.
It's not the same.
So I guess that's what we doing. We ain't got no loyalty to each other. We just gonna with each other friends.
I'm saying that hold more weight when the female do it though.
I know.
So maybe she's just throwing shade, but I don't believe in coincidences. I believe things are what they are, and she is alluding to the fact that because her baby daddy had messed with someone who was either cool with her or someone who she didn't like, I guess, she went and did the same thing. And here's the problem with that, ladies. Here's why we are so quick to call out misogyny when men or women state the obvious about women being irresponsible about sex. Women have a different consequence to being sexually irresponsible. And I think that's why a lot of conversations surrounding relationships relationships, childbirth, marriage, etc., have been so prominent within gender wars as of lately because of said reason. I think a lot of men feel that women are trying to go tit for tat with men to teach men a lesson or to just say that we are equal to men. But I think that is a very misogynistic viewpoint that a lot of men have convinced themselves to be true. It's not really about that. I think what women have been trying to reiterate to men is that you're not going to put women down and shame women for the same things that you put out, because regardless of gender, the action is the same. That's what I think a lot of what feminism should be, but it does get convoluted. But I will say, when it comes to sexual reproduction and just promiscuity and things of that nature, it does kind of matter the gender because there's a different consequence due to the gender. So sometimes I say things and it gets written off as misogynistic or anti-women, but I feel like a lot of people practice cognitive dissonance because we all know that the side effects to certain actions when it comes to a topic like this do differ between men and women. I mean, if we're talking about who should be earning more at a job, it should not come down to gender. If we're talking about who deserves respect, it should not come down to gender. If we're talking about why a man should be able to sleep with 20 people and a woman should be able to sleep with 20 people, it should not matter to gender. However, when you're talking about the end result of that action, there's a different consequence, hence why women do get judged harsher for how they present themselves in a sexual matter and also actually following through with pregnancy and some of the things that can happen with that. And I'm not sure the dynamic between Cexie and her new baby daddy, but I just hope that it's not going to result with her being a single mother once again, because you have one baby daddy that's in jail and then you have a potential baby daddies from what the public has seen who don't really respect you, have their own issues with breaking the law, hence the ankle monitor, and don't really seem to have the same je ne sais quoi as Cexie does now that she's on and popping. Now, kind of just to wrap up, I really feel like the consequence of her being pregnant at the height of her career is really a 50-50 split. It can go either way. Either she can pull a Young Miami where somehow she's able to hold down her career and still stay relevant, or even Cardi B, who got pregnant during the height of her career but was able to still maintain and have a lot of success post-baby. Or she could end up like a lot of other female artists who kind of fell into oblivion because they had a kid, and even if they did remain relevant, their career was never necessarily the same. I think especially for female rappers, part of the marketing is selling relatability and desirability. And I don't mean to sound mean, but I feel like people don't perceive pregnant women as desirable per se. Not that people don't appreciate someone being pregnant and find beauty in it, but I think we're talking about the music industry and what listeners gravitate towards. It does kind of dampen the consumer's view of an artist when they're blatantly showing their audience that they're gonna have to draw some things back at some point, whether it's during a pregnancy or right after. And I guess you could say for male artists, it's like going to jail per se. I think Sexyy Red is moving really fast, and if this is the reason why she ends up falling off over time, I really wouldn't be surprised. I don't think her career is over at all. I think women can still pursue a career even with kids, but I do think it does come with a huge risk. I mean, she didn't have to get pregnant for me to feel that eventually people will start to maybe not be so into her, but this is definitely a roll of the dice and we're just gonna have to see what happens. Now, story number 2 is about Halle Bailey allegedly being pregnant. Now, I think the top story on this docket is everyone's favorite Disney princess named Halle Bailey, not confirming that she's pregnant, but pretty much showing everybody why the speculations made sense. And I think here's the real tea. Halle Bailey is nothing like what people perceived her to be. And I don't think that this is wrong. I think this is actually a side effect to being a child star, being a child actor or singer or whatever. A lot of young actors grow up in a spotlight where, because they are deemed innocent, childlike, juvenile, or whatever, people will forever view them as that. Now, I'll be real, I didn't get hip to Chloe and Halle until way after everyone. I had no clue where they came from. I didn't know that they were signed to Beyonce and all of these things until like maybe last year or maybe the year before. So I don't really know their background in terms of how long they've been in the industry, but I did go back to see that they've been working in this industry for a very long time. And I think people are forgetting that when you're growing up with an expedited version of being a teenager or even adulthood, things just get out of order. However, I'm going to hold Halle accountable because I think that it's one thing to have an upbringing that kind of alludes to being young, pregnant, unmarried, and so forth, similar to Sexyy Red or even Krishan Rock, but that doesn't really apply for Halle. So I do completely 1000% understand why the internet had higher expectations for her. And maybe it isn't the fact that she's pregnant per se, but definitely that she's pregnant by someone who the public doesn't view as worthy of her. But I think they are a match made in heaven, because any woman who is willing to sacrifice her reputation and her womb for someone who we see is blatantly immature and doesn't really do a good job convincing the public that he is a right fit for Halle, not that it's our business, but just saying, then I guess that's just what she deserves. And And again, it's none of our business what their relationship entails, but the celebrities will put us in their business. They'll make statements, they'll do subliminal tweets, they'll respond to backlash, and then wonder why people know things or say things that may cause them to be defensive. And I think DDG is just a troll. I think his whole brand is trolling, clickbait, shock value. I mean, he's a YouTuber at heart. Like, there's different types of people in entertainment. And I'll say, just from being a YouTuber, you do learn the art of trolling because it comes with this platform. But that notwithstanding, these photos obviously show that Halle is expecting. And I think, again, with the Sexyy Red thing, it just seems like bad timing for both of them. I mean, Halle is coming off of a multi-million-dollar deal as the main character and lead role in a Disney production. Her single that she dropped over the summer was well received, and she's always been pretty well liked. Her only scandal is this Naker. And I think there's some people that have it super misconstrued. People say that everyone is obsessed with Halle's womb, but they're not holding the same fire for Sexyy Red. But I feel like, let's be honest. I hate the comments of, why are we not doing blah, 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 blah. We're not being honest. You're not gonna expect a girl who comes from two parents, who are married, who grew up in the church, who has a certain reputation and is known for how talented she is, how pretty she is, how close proximity she is to a superstar like Beyonce. You're not gonna expect her to do something like this. So yeah, that's why people are harder on Halle, because it's just not as expected. If I told y'all that I was pregnant right now and it's just with my boyfriend of a year or maybe my sneaky link, y'all would be very disappointed because you don't expect that from me. But if I gave y'all a whole different approach to my YouTube channel where y'all knew that I'm not following, I guess, a traditional view, it wouldn't be shocking that the girl who raps about nothing but my coochie is pregnant with my second kid and my second baby daddy. Like, let's just be honest. Like, can we please? There was also an article from Glamour magazine saying that Halle gave a statement claiming she's married, and then it came back that that article was incorrect and Glamour had to apologize and that she never said that. But I don't know, it seems a bit ironic and coincidental that these pictures get released, or I guess leaked to the public a few days ago, and then a few days later, if not the very next day, there's this alleged incorrect statement about her being married and pregnant. I do think that that aspect of it is weird, but I wouldn't be too quick to write it off because you just never know. Now, if this was to be true, I would say, well, isn't this the old shotgun wedding because I got pregnant situation? A lot of women have gotten married because they didn't want to have a baby out of wedlock, and in Halle's case, she grew up in the church, and I'm sure she grew up with not wanting shame to be brought upon her family. And is it that big of a deal? I'm gonna be real and say yes and no. No, because it's her life and nobody else's life, but then yes, because I feel like everybody wants to move the goalposts when it's their favorite celebrity. Everybody wants to change the same advice that we give to women time and time again when it comes to protecting our womb. A lot of us talk about how we should have kids when we are in a stable, loving, and healthy situation, whether that's within a marriage or not. But at the same time, when we see these examples carried out through our favorite celebrities, there's always people who throw the excuse of them having money or resources or fame or connections that can assist them with being a parent. But I feel like a lot of that stuff doesn't really matter unless your situation is solid. And maybe their relationship is, but from the outside looking in, it seems very off-putting that her child's father has constantly trolled her, embarrassed her, still talked to his ex-girlfriend, and so forth. So I do think the public has a reasonable doubt of the health and solidarity of this relationship, but at the same time, we don't really know. When people jump into marriages because they're pregnant, I do consider it to be a bit abusive because I don't necessarily think it's always for the betterment of the situation. I think it's more about camouflaging a situation so it's more palatable to the public and to the congregation versus it being something done because that's truly what somebody wanted. Hypothetically speaking, of course, but hypothetically speaking, let's say Halle and Daryl were married for the last year and then we started speculating her pregnancy. That would be different because it would just be two young people who were so in love that they got married young and now they're extending their family. But I just don't believe that that's the case. So they're not married, but let's just wait and see. On April Fool's of this year, DDG had tweeted an ultrasound with a dog in it, and as much as we took it as just him trolling and being funny, ironically enough, here it is now 6 months later and Halle looks visibly pregnant. So maybe it wasn't a joke. Maybe he was alluding to something that was already in the works. Maybe he's been planning all of this. Maybe he's trapping her. Or maybe this is exactly what they both wanted. Never underestimate her either. I do understand it's easy to put all the blame on DDG because he's least liked out of the two, but Halle isn't a kid, she's very much aware of her choices and has made the choice to move forward with this. I think a lot of people calling DDG a bum is honestly the wrong word. He's definitely not a bum. The problem is he's definitely a goofy though. He definitely plays too much, doesn't seem to be the type of comedian that is well liked and genuinely funny, and a lot of what he's known for or how he makes his money is contingent on somewhat exploiting his reality, so a lot of Halle's fans are very sensitive to that. But he is not a bum. He makes good money. He puts out music that actually keeps him afloat. He's just a goofy, but definitely not a bum. I don't know. I would hate to be in Halle's situation because I feel like in a moment that's supposed to be about two people who are in love and just being at peace with the person you chose to be with, it doesn't seem like that's the case here. But I do think people who are hip to the situation do have a reason to not like it for her, but it is what it is regardless. Now, just to end off, all in all, for both ladies, I find it very alarming that they would get pregnant at the height of their careers. God forbid, and I pray that doesn't ever happen to me, because I just think it really does cause more conflict. It's not that it's undoable. There's been a lot of women who have had children and continued on with their careers, but I just don't like seeing it with young women, especially young Black women. It's almost expected for us to be a statistic and the baby making machines for men that either don't deserve us or just situations that we are better than. So I see why there is scrutiny for both of them. I also see how similar situations through people like Keke Palmer or Krishan Rock have been examples of people's scrutiny somewhat being vindicated due to the drama that ensued with both of their relationships. And for people that expect more from Halle, remember she did a double date with Krishan Rock and Blueface. So I'ma just be real. Do with that information what you will. I don't think the girl is who we think she is, and that's cool, but let's just be honest. Now, I don't think it's fair or stamped to say just because you have a baby young or out of wedlock or with someone who isn't on your level means that you will suffer complete negative outcomes. But I think it's fair to say that the risk of the relationship or the situation remaining solid and healthy is much higher. And I think the backlash per se comes from audiences looking at public situations from other public figures and wanting our faves to learn from them and take heed of what could happen. We also talk about this aspect of being a role model. And of course, as an influencer, I'm going to be somewhat biased to say that it's not the responsibility of an influencer to raise your child or be a role model. But I also have to be honest to say that it does come with the territory, and everybody knows it and kind of naturally accepts that when you decide to be a public figure. So it should be somewhat considered in your life. Like, I would hate to do all this preaching and then be out here with two baby daddies, with one that's incarcerated and the other one that's on house arrest. Like, I would really feel very stupid. So I don't find it to be flattering for these women who have elevated themselves to a career point where they're good. I mean, you're set. You don't have to go back to certain struggles or certain basic behavior that you were a part of before. But that does go to show how human all of these women are, because even with the abundant blessings of fame and money, if you consider it as that, they still do normal things such as get pregnant during the height of their career by maybe a man who is considered questionable. I just want better for young women. I feel like there's never a good example of young women out there just living their life without the hounding dynamic of their relationship in their womb. It always becomes a question. And I really just wanted to see mainstream women who don't fall into this baby mama, baby daddy thing, are really career focused and career driven and just have a more digestible reputation. But I guess it's just wishful thinking unless I go viral tomorrow night, huh? I'm just playing. But I'm still just gonna wish both of these ladies the best, because the older I get, the more I realize that you just gotta let people do them and pray that their actions bring them blessings. I hope both of these ladies really thought this through, and safe journey on the pregnancy for both, and we shall see what happens. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. If you haven't already, go stream my song Let's Go. It is out on all platforms and dropping this month. I mean, like, what, 2 weeks away? Is gonna be my song Rich Auntie. Make sure y'all stay tuned to the end to hear a snippet, and stay tuned for the music video dropping on my channel as well. And lastly, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
New freestyle to your checklist. Pull it to your block like I play Tetris. Quiet hoe, let me finish my sentence. 10 that he see like I'm from Memphis. Going big like I'm from Texas. Life is being blessed and exit. Made that boy make me his bench press. Now he breathless. Green, white, green when I be reppin'. Nardo wickin' when we steppin'. Dirty niggas I'm rejectin'. Make me teach your ass a lesson. I'ma call him when I need some money. I ain't tryna wait. Mansion in the motherland, bitch. Leave it by the gate. My brother counting money up. My sis driving to get away. It's Queen Chioma trigger, cause you know I make it ricochet. Told y'all it's a ceremony. Every day a cabaret. Get out my way, I'm out the way. They say I'm out the ordinary. All my favorite cousins up, they round the way and on the way. Had to come to auntie house, cause last time I did 20 I said I'ma call him when I need some money. I ain't tryna wait. Mansion in the motherland, bitch. Leave it by the gate. All my favorite cousins up, they round the way and on the way. come to auntie house, cause last time I did 20K, yo. Chioma, they don't know who they messing with. I be where the blessings is, my pockets never deficit. You can't touch all this excellence, you gon' need a prerequisite. You gon' need some relevance, so cut it OT Genesis. Pack in the mail from my boys in Abuja. Thick, meaty, spicy, juicy, baby, call me Suya. I said 24/7, we stacking, racking. I'm a bad bitch, you fraction, lacking. Counting bread while he playing Madden. I'm in the building, bitch, what's happening?